Good morning. Welcome to Cathy's Eclectic Garden. I'm Cathy and I garden in zones 5B, 6A in Northwest Ohio. Today let's take a tour of the plants that are still blooming in my October garden. It's the first week of October and the mornings are chilly, the nights are really chilly, and the plants are starting to show it. We'll be right back. Well, I had to crawl through the elderberry jungle to find this one, but it is still blooming. This is my Camelot Lavender Foxglove. It's a Foxglove digitalis. It's the first year for this plant and it has bloomed proliferously. I still have a few marigolds blooming back where my tomato plants are, but they're fading fast. This New England Aster did well this year and it's still blooming. And it still has some buds yet that haven't fully opened, so we will have purple New England Asters for a while. So that's nice. That will probably be the last color in this garden. This is my pocket prairie garden, and it did well this year. I've got zinnias and cosmos, and I'm not sure what all else is in there. There might be a few daisies. I'm not sure. There are some marigolds, I think. But it did well this year. I was real pleased with it. It added a lot of color. I still have a couple or three, there's a third one over there, Tithonias in bloom. So they're looking pretty. I still have a few honeysuckle blossoms, but I highly doubt they have a whole lot of nectar in them. I'm not sure. We haven't seen a hummingbird for quite a few days, so I'm pretty sure they've all headed south. But we do have berries on the honeysuckle this year. So that's nice. We don't get those every year, but there's quite a few of them this year. My common Sinkfoil has one or two flowers still blooming on it, but it's pretty much done. Not sure what's going on with the beautyberry. I'm hoping these are going to be turning into little berries, but it was slow to come on this year, so I'm not looking forward to having many berries on it, but we'll see what happens. If I get some, I'll share them with you. I had a huge patch of brown-eyed Susans this year, and as you can see, they are about done, but boy, were they beautiful. We're going to look at two plants while we're here. This is Anise Hyssop. It's an agastaki. It's native, and I have a lot of it. The bees and other pollinators love it. The songbirds, the goldfinches, like to feed on the seeds. So it takes care of all of my little garden friends. And right next to it, we have black and blue salvia. And I really like this plant. I love the color. It's really deep, true blue. And it blooms summer into fall. This will bloom probably right up until frost. It kind of got crowded out this year. The agastaki got blown over in a storm, and that was just a couple of weeks ago, so I didn't come out and pull it back up since it's so late in the season. I should have had it tied up. I forgot to do that. That happens. Here you can see we have a bumblebee feeding on that agastaki. I'm surprised they're out so early this morning because it's a little chilly out here, and they usually wait till it gets warmer to come out. Here we have another agastaki. This one is not native, but the pollinators still like it. It is hardy in zones 6 through 8 or 9, I believe. So I didn't think this one was coming back this year, and it came back late. I will be moving it to another location either this fall or next spring, because where it is now is where I have designated for my milkweed. Here we have Bernarda ditima. Now last year this spot was completely full of this beautiful red flower. It is pollinator attractor. They really love this plant, especially the hummingbirds. Our hummingbirds lived on this last year. This year it didn't do so well. Well, it didn't start out doing so well. I think it got crowded out by bulbs that were planted here, so I've pulled those bulbs, and after I got all of the foliage from the bulbs pulled, it started coming up. But it was too late for it to get tall like it did last year. Last year it was probably 4 to 5 feet tall. But most of this has come up this summer. I planted 2 new plants in here because I didn't know if it was going to come back or not. And they're doing well. That would be this plant here, and this one that would be here, and here are the 2 new plants. Of course, this was their first year, so they did not bloom this year either. So I'm looking for a nice big patch of Bernarda ditima, or Jacob Klein Bernarda is its common name, for my hummingbirds next year. I planted sea holly this year. It was my first year for planting sea holly, and it did fantastic. Most of it has been finished blooming. I've already cut it back, and I just discovered this one little sprig of sea holly that came up late and is still blooming. So it's the plant that keeps on giving. Here we have genital phlox. It is a native phlox. It's still blooming, but it's dying off fast, so it's looking a little sad, a little tired. But it did really well this year. It does good every year. This is 2 plants. It has grown to a nice sized patch of phlox. Another pollinator attractor. Here we have Sedum Autumn Joy, and it's looking really good, except it got flopped over in the rain, so it's all split apart. I need to divide this plant. It needed to be divided probably a couple of years ago, but I just haven't gotten to it, so something I'll have to put on my list for either this fall or next spring. But it bloomed pretty. And the last flower I have to share with you is this pretty little purple flower. It's an Ohio Spiderwort. They're not supposed to be blooming in October. I've got more in another area, and they bloomed in June and July like they were supposed to, and then they started dying back. But they were 3rd-year plants, and this is a 1st-year plant. And I don't know whether seeds blew over here or whether the birds planted it, but this is the 1st year for this plant. And it didn't have a lot of blooms, but it's still blooming. And the funny thing is, the other plant that bloomed like it was supposed to this year bloomed clear to November last year. So we'll see what this one does next year. Maybe it'll bloom when it's supposed to. Maybe it just takes a year to get its time clock set. So that's it for what's blooming in my garden. I hope you enjoyed my little garden tour, and we will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.